Good morning everyone. This is Raghu, Assistant Professor of Biotechnology from SRN BGNR Government College, Khammam. So today's topics are electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. In the previous classes, we have seen glycolysis and Krebs cycle. In this class, we will see in detail the process of electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. And also we will see the process or the pathway of gluconeogenesis. That means synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate precursors is called as gluconeogenesis. So before going into the electron transport chain, we have to see the structure of mitochondria such that we will have an idea where these electron transport chain proteins are present. So this is the structure of mitochondria. Is a double membrane cell organelle. So there will be outer membrane and inner membrane, and the space present in between the two membranes is called as intermembrane space. So these parts are very important in electron transport chain: outer membrane, inner membrane, and intermembrane space. And the space inside the mitochondria is called as matrix. So the proteins or the enzyme components which are involved in the electron transport chain are present or situated in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. So the inner membrane of the mitochondria contains the proteins that are involved in the process of electron transport chain. So the main function of this mitochondria is production of ATP. It is a basic thing that even a lower class student can answer, that mitochondria is called as powerhouse of the cell. So it will produce energy in the form of ATP. So from this video you can learn how these ATP molecules are produced by the mitochondria electron transport through a electron transport chain. So this is the structure of mitochondria. And these are the components or complexes of electron transport chain that are situated in the inner mitochondrial membrane. So these are also called as enzyme complexes or enzyme protein complexes that play an important role in the transport of electrons and hydrogens. So in glycolysis and Krebs cycle, we have seen three different kinds of components. One is NADH2, the other one is FADH2, the other one is ATP and GTP. So ATP and GTP are formed instantaneously, so that is called as substrate level phosphorylation. The NADH and FADH2 that are formed in glycolysis and Krebs cycle, they enter the electron transport chain and they play an important role in the production of ATP. That process is called as oxidative phosphorylation. ATP synthesis during transport of hydrogens or electrons is called as oxidative phosphorylation. And this oxidative phosphorylation electron transport chain takes place through a series of complexes called as ETC complexes or enzyme complexes, so which are shown in this slide. So complex 1 is also called as NADH dehydrogenase. NADH dehydrogenase. So the prosthetic groups, that means non-protein components that are involved in this complex 1 are FMN and FES. Flavin mononucleotide and iron sulfur proteins. And the second component or complex is called as succinate coenzyme Q reductase. So it is comprises of FAD and cytochrome B and iron sulfur proteins as prosthetic groups. The complex 3 is called as coenzyme Q cytochrome C oxidoreductase or reductase, comprises of cytochrome B, cytochrome C, and also cytochrome iron sulfur proteins. And the final complex is cytochrome C oxidase, which comprises cytochrome C, and the prosthetic groups are copper ions, cytochromes A3, and C. So these are the four different protein or enzyme complexes that are present in the inner mitochondrial membrane. Apart of that, there is another complex called as complex 5, that is called as ATP synthase. So ATP synthase is the complex 5 which acts like a turbine and play an important role in the synthesis of ATP molecules. So it will couple ADP plus inorganic phosphate to form ATP molecules. So electron transport coupled phosphorylation of ADP molecules to ATP. It is called as oxidative phosphorylation. So this is how the complexes that are arranged in the inner mitochondrial membrane. You can clearly see the outer mitochondrial membrane, inner mitochondrial membrane, mitochondrial matrix, and also the space between outer and inner membrane is called as intermembrane space. So this diagram will show the overview of oxidative phosphorylation. So there is an electron transport from NADH to a series of protein complexes that are present on the inner mitochondrial membrane. So during this transport, hydrogen ions enters from mitochondrial matrix to the intermembrane space. And again this H plus will enter into mitochondrial matrix through complex 5, that is ATP synthase, where ADP is coupled to inorganic phosphate to form ATP. So this is overall view of oxidative phosphorylation. And this process of synthesis of ATP from ADP during transport of H plus ions from intermembrane space to mitochondrial matrix is called as chemiosmotic theory, which is proposed by Peter Mitchell. So this is how the complexes which are mentioned in the previous slides are arranged in the inner mitochondrial membrane. Complex 1 NADH oxidoreductase, complex 2 succinate coenzyme Q reductase, complex 3 cytochrome coenzyme Q reductase oxidoreductase, complex 5 cytochrome C oxidase, and complex 5 ATP synthase. So these are the 5 enzyme complexes. Play an important role in the process of electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. So this is the structure of ATP synthase, the turbine, which is also called as the molecular turbine, complex 5, that is present in the inner mitochondrial membrane. So in the previous slide you have clearly seen its head is facing towards mitochondrial matrix, whereas its tail is facing towards the intermembrane space. So here is its head, which is called as the F1 component, and its tail is called as F1 component. So you can clearly see the components F1. So F1 projects into the matrix. So mitochondrial matrix, it will face the mitochondrial matrix. So F1 means the head, and the tail is embedded into the membrane. So it will be embedded into the membrane. So which is shown here. So the ATP synthase comprises of subunits, alpha 3 subunits, beta subunits 3, gamma, delta subunit attached to beta subunit, epsilon, and C 10 to 12 subunits which are embedded in the inner mitochondrial membrane. So this is the ATP synthase structure. So during the entry of H plus ions from intermembrane space to mitochondrial matrix, they will enter through the ATP synthase, which will turn like a molecular turbine, and this beta subunit that is present in the ATP synthase will couple the ADP plus PI to form ATP. So that is the function of the ATP synthase in the process of ATP synthesis from ADP and inorganic phosphate. So as I mentioned, these are the structures. F1 projects into the matrix which has 3 alpha, 3 gamma, delta, epsilon, and the beta subunit catalyzes the ATP synthesis, and the F0 which is embedded into the membrane plays an important role in the transport of H plus ions and is comprised of C 10 to 12 subunits. So that is ATP synthase. So we have a overview, okay, that electron transport chain will be taking place in the inner mitochondrial membrane, and there will be an H plus ion variation in the matrix and intermembrane space, which leads to the synthesis of ATP. So that is overall view. So now the question is, how these H plus ions are transported from FADH2 and NADH2 onto electron transport chain complexes, or how these H plus ions which are present on FADH and NADH are transported to electron transport chain and ATP synthesis occurs. So in the previous class, when we discussed about glycolysis and Krebs cycle, we have seen how many NADH and FADH2 are formed in the glycolysis and Krebs cycle. So in glycolysis, we have two NADH2 that are formed in the payoff phase. So payoff phase, where ATP is formed by substrate level phosphorylation, along with ATP, NADH2 are also formed in glycolysis, and that NADH2 is lying in cytosol, not in mitochondria. So glycolysis is taking place in cytosol, and NADH2 that is formed is also present in the cytosol. But electron transport chain is present in the mitochondrial matrix. So the NADH2 which is present in the cytosol cannot enter into the mitochondria directly, because the mitochondrial membranes are impermeable to NADH2. Rather, the electrons and hydrogens that are present on NADH2 are transferred from outer membrane to inner membrane, where electron transport chain will take place. So once again, the NADH2 that is formed in the cytosol during glycolytic pathway is impermeable to mitochondrial membranes. So the hydrogen and electrons on NADH2 are transported instead of NADH2 into the electron transport chain, where finally oxidative phosphorylation occurs. And the electrons or hydrogens that are present on the NADH2 are transported onto electron transport chain of inner membrane via two shuttle systems. So one is glycerol 3-phosphate shuttle and malate aspartate shuttle. So as I mentioned, mitochondrial membranes are impermeable to NADH. So you can clearly see on the top the glycerol 3-phosphate shuttle. So this is mitochondrial matrix. So inner mitochondrial membrane and cytosol. So from cytosol, now the NADH is present in cytosol. So NADH2 is converted into NAD plus, and the hydrogens on NADH2 are transported onto dihydroxyacetone phosphate by glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase that is present in the cytosol. So the H2 ions are transported into dihydroxyacetone phosphate, converting it into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Now hydrogens are not present on NAD, so they are transported onto dihydroxyacetone phosphate and it is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Now another glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is present, that is called as mitochondrial inner membrane glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So it utilizes FAD and it again converts glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate to dihydroxyacetone phosphate, and the hydrogens that are present on glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate are transferred onto FAD, converting FAD to FADH2. Now this FADH2 will enter the electron transport chain via complex number 2. So instead of NADH that is being transported into mitochondria, the electrons or hydrogens on NADH is transported onto the electron transport chain which is present in the inner mitochondrial membrane, since the mitochondrial membranes are impermeable to NADH. So in this glycerol 3-phosphate shuttle, the hydrogen or electrons on NADH2 are transferred onto FAD and converting FAD to FADH2. So here there will be a loss of formation of ATP. Since 1 NADH2 it will form 2.5 ATP and FAD it will form 1.5 ATP. There will be a loss of 1 ATP molecule in the glycerol 3-phosphate shuttle system. So that is glycerol 3-phosphate shuttle. So other shuttle system is malate aspartate shuttle. So you can clearly see the NADH that is present, NADH2 is present in the cytosol, inner mitochondrial membrane, mitochondrial matrix. So now oxaloacetic acid will be converted into malate and the H2 ions that are present on NADH2 are transported onto malate. So are transported onto oxaloacetic acid, converting it into malate. Now this malate can enter into the mitochondrial matrix. So malate can easily enter the mitochondrial membranes. So malate will come inside, again malate will be converted into oxaloacetate. Now the NAD present in the inner mitochondrial membrane will be taking these hydrogen ions or electrons on the malate, converting NAD into NADH2. And after that oxaloacetate will be converted into aspartate and aspartate will come out and again the cycle will be repeating. Here only malate and aspartate will be permeable to mitochondrial membranes. Oxaloacetate is not permeable. So oxaloacetate is being converted into malate and hydrogen or electrons on NADH2 is taken where it is converted into NAD plus, and after entering into the mitochondrial matrix the malate will be converted into oxaloacetate and oxaloacetate will be converted into aspartate and it will come out of the mitochondria. So this is malate aspartate shuttle. So there won't be any loss of ATP during malate aspartate shuttle. For each NADH2 there will be 2.5 ATP molecules are formed. So if it is glycerol 3-dehyde 3-phosphate shuttle, there will be a loss of 1 ATP molecule because NADH2 electrons are transferred or hydrogen atoms are transferred onto FAD, converting it into FADH2. So there will be a loss of 1 ATP molecule. So this is the exact calculation of ATP yield during complete oxidation of one glucose molecule. So you can clearly see 2 NADH2 are formed in glycolysis, 6 NADH are formed in tricarboxylic acid cycle TCA cycle, 2 FADH2 are formed in tricarboxylic acid cycle and 2 GTP are formed in tricarboxylic acid cycle. 2 ATP will be formed in glycolysis. So the net will be, you can clearly see 2 ATP molecules, 2 GTP molecules, 10 NADH molecules, 2 FADH2 molecules. So if the NADH enters into mitochondrial electron transport chain via malate aspartate shuttle, there won't be any loss of ATP molecules. So finally 32 ATP molecules are formed for complete oxidation of 1 glucose. So 2 ATP, 2 GTP, 10 into 2.5, 25 ATP for NADH and FADH2, 2 into 1.5, 3 ATP molecules. So total 32 ATP molecules. If it is following glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate shuttle system, 2 NADH molecules will be converting into 2 FADH2 molecules. So then it will be 2 ATP, 2 GTP, 8 into 2.5, 20 ATP, 4 into 1.5, 6 ATP, total 30 ATP. So complete oxidation of glucose through malate aspartate shuttle system will yield 32 ATP molecules, whereas complete oxidation of glucose via glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate shuttle system will yield 30 ATP molecules. So this is the exact calculation and accurate calculation of ATP yield for complete oxidation of one glucose molecule and the shuttle systems. So once the electrons and hydrogen atoms enters the electron transport chain, they are transferred through a series of complexes which we have shown in the previous slides. Complex 1, complex 2, complex 3 and complex 4. Finally ATP synthesis involved in the process of ATP synthesis. And why the hydrogen ions or electrons has to be transferred from NADH finally to oxygen? In electron transport chain, the terminal electron or hydrogen ion acceptor is oxygen, where oxygen will be converted into water molecule. So the terminal electron acceptor is oxygen. Why the electrons or hydrogen atoms are transferred from NADH to onto oxygen? This is based on redox potentials. So always the electrons or hydrogen ions are transferred from negative redox potentials to positive redox potentials. The oxygen is the molecule which is having positive redox potential, and NADH is having more negative redox potential. So there will be transport of electrons or hydrogens from more negative redox potentials containing components to oxygen, finally converting oxygen to water molecule. So you can see the transport of hydrogens and electrons from NADH to iron sulfur proteins, flavoproteins, cytochrome B, coenzyme Q, cytochrome C, cytochrome A, A3 and finally to oxygen, converting oxygen to water molecules. So this is the series of transport of electrons. In photosynthesis, the reverse happens. The electrons or hydrogens are transferred from positive redox potentials to negative. So that means onto NADP, converting NADP to NADPH2. For this energy is required, and that energy is taken from the sunlight, photosynthesis. So the reverse happens in photosynthesis since energy is needed for that process, and that energy is taken by plants through sunlight. So in general it is from negative redox potentials to positive redox potentials. So this is how electrons and hydrogen atoms are transferred onto oxygen, finally converting it into water molecule. So the next one is chemiosmotic theory. So during the transport of these electrons, H plus ions will enter into the intermembrane space of mitochondria, and immediately there will be acidic conditions created in the intermembrane space. So these H plus ions from intermembrane space, they will flow back into mitochondrial matrix, where the ATP synthase complex 5 will couple the ADP plus inorganic phosphate to form ATP. So during transport of H plus ions from intermembrane space to mitochondrial matrix, ADP is coupled to PA to form ATP. So this is called as oxidative phosphorylation. And this H plus ion variation in mitochondrial matrix and intermembrane space leading to ATP synthesis is called as chemiosmotic theory, which was proposed by Peter Mitchell. So you can clearly see in the diagram H plus ion entered into intermembrane space where there will be increase in acidic conditions. So again this H plus ions entered into mitochondrial matrix. With this energy, the ATP synthase coupled ADP plus PA to form ATP. So this is how ATP is synthesized in the mitochondrial matrix by ATP synthase and electron transport chain, and how the powerhouse of the cell generates ATP molecules. So that is regarding electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. So the next one is gluconeogenesis. Synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate precursors is called as gluconeogenesis. Synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate precursors is called as gluconeogenesis. The non-carbohydrate precursors may be lactate or oxaloacetic acid or any amino acid. So it is simply reversal of glycolysis with few steps which are specific to the gluconeogenesis. So we have seen the rate limiting steps in the glycolysis, which is mediated by hexokinase, phosphofructokinase, and also pyruvate kinase. These are irreversible reactions. So those reactions won't be there here. Instead of those reactions, special enzymes are present, which play an important role in the synthesis of glucose molecule. So you can clearly see what is happening here. So from pyruvate, with the help of an enzyme called as pyruvate carboxylase, this reaction is taking place in mitochondria, where pyruvate will be converted into oxalacetate. So one ATP molecule, CO2, water molecule are utilized, and the CO2 is added to pyruvate to convert it into oxaloacetic acid. And in mitochondria and cytosol, there is an enzyme called as phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase. This will convert oxaloacetate to phosphoenol pyruvate. So here another GTP molecule is utilized and CO2 is removed, and a double bond will be formed, converting oxaloacetate into phosphoenol pyruvate. So these are the two important steps that will initiate the process of gluconeogenesis. And this process will occur both in mitochondria and cytosol. And the important enzymes are pyruvate carboxylase, which will convert pyruvate to oxaloacetate, and phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase, which will convert oxaloacetate to phosphoenol pyruvate. And the remaining steps are same as glycolysis. So that means reversal of glycolysis. P will be converted into 2-PGA, 2-PGA into 3-PGA, 3-PGA to 1,3-bis-PGA. And 1,3-bis-PGA, again they will combine to form fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. So now this fructose 1,6-bisphosphate will be cleaved. That means one phosphate group is removed at first position with the help of an enzyme called as fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase. This enzyme is absent in glycolysis, whereas this reaction is irreversible in glycolysis, so it is mediated by fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase, where fructose 1,6-bisphosphate will be converted into fructose 6-phosphate. Again, fructose 6-phosphate will be converted into glucose 6-phosphate by phosphoglucoisomerase. Now glucose 6-phosphate will be converted into glucose, and the enzyme is glucose 6-phosphatase, and it is present in the endoplasmic reticulum. So this gluconeogenesis will especially takes place in the liver, and we have seen this process in Cori and Cori cycle, where glucose metabolism, glycolysis happened in the muscle, and glucose synthesis, gluconeogenesis happened in the liver. So all the enzymes are present in the liver, and the pathway is cytosolic, mitochondrial, and some endoplasmic reticulum enzymes like glucose 6-phosphatase is used to convert glucose 6-phosphate to glucose. So finally, from pyruvate, the glucose is synthesized. You can also synthesize from lactate, also from aspartate, and some other amino acids also. You can synthesize this glucose. So this process of synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate sugars is called as gluconeogenesis. So that is today's topics: electron transport chain, oxidative phosphorylation, and gluconeogenesis. Thank you once again for patiently listening about the topic. Thank you once.